Hi loves, welcome back to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to recreate this beautiful piece. Just subscribe to the channel, share to friends, don't forget to turn on your notification bell, leave your likes, your comments, your suggestions. Thank you so much. So the first thing I did was to fold my fabric into two first, then I folded it again, making it a fold of into four. I'm cutting both the back piece and the front piece together. All right, so the full length of the gown we're working for is 38 inches, and I'm adding extra 2 inches, making it 40 for seam allowance. All right, so I have the full length to be 40 inches, and this is where my 40 inches stops. So this is where I'm going to insert my shoulder line, my sleeve, because this is a cut together gown. Both the shoulder and the sleeve is going to be here. All right, so the first thing I'm going ahead to mark on this start point line is the neck width, which is 3 inches here. Then I will go ahead from that center point again. I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. All right, so the rest of what I have, I'm going to be using it for my sleeve. Remember, we're also going to be attaching an African print to this sleeve, so I added extra 7 inches here for my sleeve. All right, then from that start point line, I'm coming down to 1 inch. This is my shoulder slope, so I'm going to be connecting it to my neck width. So from here now, go ahead and connect to your neck width, and this is what we have. All right, then now we're going to be marking our arm opening. From here now, from the 1 inch shoulder slope down, I'm going to mark 9 to 10 inches. If you want it wider, you can go ahead and mark 11 inches. So this is what I have, 11 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to measure what I have on this shoulder line entirely. I have 14.5 inches. So for this gown now, we are not looking for, is not a fitted gown, it's very free. We are not making use of the waist measurements, the hip measurements, no, because the gown is very free. So I'm going to be using the whole of this 14.5 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to be reducing the 14.5 inches by 1. Okay, so since I have 14.5 inches, if I remove 1, I'm going to be left with 13.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark 13.5 all the way down from the armhole opening here. I'm going to mark 13.5 inches till I get to the bottom part of this gown. So that's what I'm going ahead to do now. So continue to do it to the bottom part. Then I'll come over here and mark my neck width. For the back piece, I'm going to be working with 1.5 inches for the neck depth. Sorry, so this is for our neck depth. For the back piece, 1.5 inches for the neck depth. Then for the front piece, I'm going to be working with 5 inches or 5.5 inches for my neck depth. So this is for my front, for my back, 1.5. Then for the front, I'm working with 5.5 inches neck depth. So what do we do now? We'll go ahead and cut out. Then I'm cutting out for my back neck. For the front neck, I have to separate it first before cutting it out, please. Then I'll go ahead and open up my armhole area this way. Now if you look closely, you see that we have a very sharp edge at this point now, because it's in a block form. So what you do is just go in and make a curve at this point. All right, then you go ahead to cut this piece out. now I will separate my back from my front. So this is for my front piece. I'll go ahead and fold it this way, then cut out for the neck depth. So this is what we have. This is what the front piece is looking like. If you feel like the neck is a little bit small for you, what you do is just go ahead, maybe use 3.5 inches on a fold for your neck width. But for this tutorial, I prefer working with 3 inches. Okay, so now the same thing with the depth. You can still go ahead and reduce yours. I'm going to be using a bias to pipe this neck area. Okay, you can decide to go ahead and do your fixing. Whichever one works for you is totally fine. All right, so the next thing I'm going ahead to cut out now, or I went ahead to cut out, is my pocket. This is going to be our front pocket. So the height of the pocket is 12 inches and the width is 10 inches. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold in this way and make a stitch, run a stitch on top of it, because there is going to be an opening here. Then I'll go ahead and iron the two sides, iron the bottom part to create my pocket before attaching it to the front part of the gown. So the next thing we're going to determine now is where our pocket is going to sit on our front piece. Okay, so from this armhole area, this arm opening that is here, I'm going to come down to 10 inches. That is where my pocket is going to be. All right, at 10 inches from the arm opening here, end of the arm opening, you mark 10 inches. I don't know if you're seeing clearly. From this is 10 inches. Then you place your pockets on top of it. So this is my pocket now. I'm also going to find the midpoint of this dress. So from here to here, I have 28 inches and the midpoint is at 14 inches. So I'm going to be giving extra 2 inches spacing from the midpoint, or 2.5 inches. So I'm going to place my pocket on top, fold it in this way. The same thing to this other side. Then I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch, top stitch on it to form my pockets proper. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to do it to the other side. So to be on a safe side, so this thing will not keep scattering, I'm going to use an iron to hold it down. I'm going to press it down so it will lap. Then I'll stitch on it. So guys, for my front, this is my back piece. I also went ahead to pipe the neck area using a cotton bias. If you watch closely, I used the black bias because I do not have a matching color bias to use, so that's why I used black for it. Then the front piece, I'm done fixing my pocket, so pocketing, and this is what it looks like. I also went ahead to pipe the neck area with the same bias. Now I'm going to join my two shoulders together, right side facing each other. So I'm going to go ahead and join the two shoulders together. After joining this shoulder, so guys, at this point now I'm done joining my two shoulders together, and this is what we have. All right, now we're going to be attaching our African prints on this arm opening area. Okay, so I went ahead to cut out a fabric. You can decide to leave your own on a single fold, like single, then fold the mouse, but for this I folded my fabric into two this way. I wanted it to be a fold. I don't want to have a stitch on the tip. Okay, so this is what I have. Please note you can decide to make yours longer, but for this I'm working with, let's say, almost 5.75 inches, so 6 inches the width of it. That is how the width is, how long the width is. Then the length is equivalent to what we have here. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead to with my sewing machine and attach it to the armhole opening. So this is one side. I'll also go ahead and do it to the other side of the arm opening. So now I'm going to stitch on this. Okay, that's what I'm going ahead to do now. So I've gone ahead to fix my African prints on the arm opening. This is what we have. and this is for this other side. So this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to turn to the wrong side of this dress. Then I'm going to mark my shape line and run a stitch on it. So that's what we're going to go ahead to do now. So now I've marked my shaping lines, and this is what I have. Sorry, this is what it looks like on the side. So I used 2 inches extra, like I used 2 inches for my seam allowance. Remember, when we, after cutting out our piece, we have about 14 inches on a fold. So I used 2 inches to shape my dress. You can decide to use 1 inch, or you can decide to still add more if you want your dress to be fitted. So for this, I'm using 2 inches for the shaping. So I have 2 inches extra allowance. So I'll go ahead now and run a stitch on it.